Thank you, Minister. My role now is to extend a vote of thanks to you, Minister, for your address here today and for being with us, even though you have a very tight schedule. We very much appreciate that. Just to make a few comments on what we've heard, I'm glad you acknowledge the unparalleled transformational change that has taken place, and you acknowledge the stress and how difficult it is for all our staff, from everybody from the ground up. It has been a very difficult few years. Difficult on top as well of all the what staff have had to deal with right across all sectors, and cuts in wages and so on and so forth. But particularly in ours, that transformation process hasn't been easy. And change is not an event, it's a process, so it's ongoing. But I'm confident, as I said in my speech yesterday, that by 2020 we'll have a much bigger, better and stronger sector. I'm delighted to hear the historical analysis as well, and that's a very charming part of your presentation. One thing that was left out of that, of course, is that the ETB, or the VECs as they were the founders, of course, of the regional technical colleges and contributed to that. So where we have IoTs today, the Institutes of Technology, came from the RTCs, came out of the vocational sector. So that just shows how you use the word bedrock of Irish society, educational society, and it emphasises that in a very clear way. You talked about the nation needs us, and in my number of years here, I remember before when in a very short period of time we responded to government's needs back in previous decades. We will respond, we have the capacity to respond, and we desperately want to respond, because now we feel we're delivery agencies for government policy. But to do that, we need to have fuel in our tanks. That's why I say resources, and take on board the earlier part of the President's speech about adequately resourcing VECs to do the job that you want and to deliver, in particular in FET, where your predecessor talked about building a world-class further education and training system back in 2011. Let us do that, but give us the capacity to do that. In respect of the community national schools, I very much welcome your commitment and the clarification that the progress is going to speed up a little bit in respect of that. As a former primary school principal myself many years ago, I have a particular interest in this, and it's a priority for me during 2015 to actually bring some clarity in respect to community national schools. Okay? The state, ETBs are arms of the state, and we can deliver on behalf of the state. And I was very disappointed during the August, during the period, that the media ignored the community national schools. Either didn't know or ignored, but we have tried our best to make them aware of that. But I want that to end, and I want us to have our time in the sun as well in terms of media exposure. So I'm very much welcome the broad statements you have made, Minister, for private community national schools. We believe that the ideal model for local communities, they try to reflect what the community want: multi-faith, multi-denominational schools. There is, of course, as well an option, as well, which we've done very well at the second level of co-patronage with our community colleges, with other patrons as well. So there's many ways that the state can deliver through ETBs in respect of the delivery of new school models. In respect of the apprenticeships, we very much we've taken our training centres. Our training centres have been integrated now with the old VECs into the new education and training boards. And we mustn't forget that they're a part of the whole of the ETB now. And we're very much pleased with the work of the Apprenticeship Council and the extension of apprenticeships from the traditional 27 with another 25 and more to come. Because we have to improve the image of apprenticeships as a viable alternative learning pathway for our young people that parents will see as of equal value as pathway into third level. So we need to have apprenticeships, and we need to have a career structure and a career path for those apprenticeships as well, for those apprentices as well. Minister English yesterday visited our own premises yesterday for a seminar which we had organised with Kildare Chamber of Commerce, North Kildare Chamber of Commerce, in which there was 75 of very key, important industrialists and representatives of the business community in attendance. And he challenged them, and rightly challenged the business community as well in terms of apprenticeships, that they have a role to play. They talk the talk, but they must also walk the walk. And I was delighted he challenged and of course the applications for apprenticeships were to be led by the business community in association with learners. They have to play a part and a role as well, and don't expect the state to deliver. They have got to be an integral to that. So I'm delighted with the extension, and delighted you refer to that important element now of ETB provision. I'm glad to hear as well, and we will work on what you've talked about, that the Education and Training Boards Ireland, the national body for ETBs as well, about developing centres of excellence throughout the sector. And we have, as you know, started that to build, you mentioned the example of quality assurance, to build the quality assurance framework for the education and training sector. Finally, my last comment as well, in thanking you. This is all part of thanking you for being here. But I think you felt the depth of feeling here about the junior cycle. We support you, Minister. Our ETB support you, Minister, and I know other stakeholders support you in respect of this. It is increasingly frustrating that over months of negotiations, months of change and modification, that we cannot please certain elements, and that's prior. We want to get on with our lives in terms of putting our children and our students at the centre of all we do. So finally, Minister, after all that, I'll say thank you for coming. Thank you for being here.